The families of Madison, Mogen, and Ethan Chapin have now sued the city of Moscow, Idaho. Their lawyer filed an emergency injunction against the city to block the release of more crime scene photos. That emergency injunction, it was successful. It happened on Friday, and a hearing has now been scheduled for later this week to determine if the crime scene photos will be blocked permanently. Remember, some have already come out, but there are more that were about to be released, and the families are just heartbroken by all of this, and they want to stop it, and that's why they're suing now. After Bryan Kohberger was sentenced to life in prison for the killings, the Moscow Police Department, they released nearly 200 photos taken inside the off-campus house. Some of the pictures showed signs of a typical college student's life, but there were also really haunting photos. A bed covered in blood. We're not going to show them to you, but I'm going to tell you what they were, so you know why the parents were so upset. There were beds covered in blood. There was blood spattered on the wall. There were these big blurred sections of the photos where you couldn't see what was under the blur, but you basically knew. And that was enough to just devastate the families. So we at NewsNation decided not to air any of the photos. Didn't feel they added anything to our coverage, but multiple media outlets did. They're all over the internet. The family members didn't even get a warning, by the way. There was no call from the city of Moscow or from the police, from the prosecution saying, tomorrow these photos are gonna come out, or hey, do you wanna come to the police department and see what we're about to release so that you can process it first. Look, that's happened in other cases. That happened with the Gabby Petito case. I remember the FBI called them up and said, come down, we're gonna meet with you and we're gonna show you everything we have before we release it. That didn't happen with these Idaho families. Several members of the victims' families spoke out against the release of the photos. There are reportedly about 180 more photos from the crime scene that are set to be released. Earlier today, I spoke with Leander James. That is the lawyer who filed the injunction on behalf of the families. Had some really interesting things to say about why he does not believe the crime scene photos should be released. This is what he said.
They had reached a point by the time of the sentencing that they actually had some closure and were able to sort of start to move on somehow. Well, then they get hit with this. All of this ugly stuff getting released. And I mean, there's photographs that we don't want released that we probably can't stop. They're going to be released anyway. You know, the inside of the residence and so forth. That's bad enough. But to have the death scene photos out there, you know, who wants to look at this stuff? I mean, this is just plain wrong. And me personally, I'm a fan of the First Amendment. I appreciate what the media does, and I appreciate transparency and the right of the public to know. But there is a line there somewhere. And I think we're over that line.
So, yeah, just so I can better understand, where is the line for the families? Is it, when you say death scene, if you can just kind of describe a little bit, like, what do they find acceptable versus not acceptable?
Well, I think first of all, for them, I think it's an unwarranted invasion into their privacy for any of the interior photos to get out there or any of the gory photos. You know, now the law doesn't probably see it that way, and that's what our judge is wrestling with. I think from a legal standpoint, the issue gets to be whether it's an unwarranted invasion of their personal privacy for a specific image to be released. And I think the core images here are images of the death scene, the bodies, and those types of things, okay, where the murders took place. Those, I think, are the most objectionable and are an unwarranted invasion and should not be released. I would ask anybody who sees this to think of the parents and the family members of these kids who were killed, and to think about how they would feel if they were in their situation, and to not view these photos. Please don't look at them if they're out there. And I would also similarly say to any news organization who didn't do what your organization did, who actually has published them or is thinking about publishing them, I would implore them not to go there. Don't do it. And I don't want to sound threatening. I think as a matter of just morality and ethics, I think it's important not to go there. If they go there, though, they put me in a difficult spot where then we have to consider whether they have a legal liability for the damage they're causing by publishing these photos. And like I say, I want peace. I don't want, conflict. So just don't publish them, and there'll be no conflict.
And so Mr. James said that they tried to work it out with the city first. They didn't immediately decide to sue the city of Moscow, Maddie Mogen's family and Ethan Chapin's family, but that they couldn't work it out, so they filed the lawsuit.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.